News update from the world of Infinite Basil, and I'm afraid it's not good news. This is the last surviving plant, and it appears to be very, very determined to flower. I keep on pinching off flowering buds from these plants, and all of the side shoots they produce just almost immediately try to flower. It's a very wiry plant as well. It's gone very woody, and I think this might be the end of the road for it. I know I previously said it was infinite, then I said it was finite, then I said it was infinite again, and we did various experiments, but this appears to have been locked into some sort of flowering mode now, and I'm not sure it's going to come back from that. I'm going to carry on going until all hope is gone, but it looks like maybe only a year is as long as you can actually keep these things going. Or at least it looks like that's as far as I got. However, on the bright side, I had a succession of plants that provided basil for a whole year from one initial plant, so it's a good process. And even if this one fails, I will start another one with some fresh cuttings and do that for another year. It's a beautiful early spring day. We're here at Linford Bottom in the New Forest, but so early in spring really that there's hardly anything happening. The trees are just about opening buds now, so we will see a few leaves starting to unfurl if we look closely, and maybe a few early flowers as well. You've got to go on the lead now. Hey, come here. Hey. Common brimstone butterfly there. This way.
Oh, I know, yeah.
Yeah. So it's still only the end of March, so very few trees are even starting to show sign of leaves yet. Look at this magnificent, huge oak tree. I reckon that's probably about 400 years old. And this is why Eva needs to be on the lead. There are ponies here, New Forest ponies. You alright there? There's no use barking down the hole. What? There's a stone in it. Okay, whatever. Come on. Yeah. You right there? If you want to stay, why don't you just get that one? And don't eat them. Oh, there's a bit of a stream here. We might have to hop over. Oh, I think we might need to go around actually. No, no, come on out there. Oh, whatever. No, don't keep going in there. You happy? And this is a very, very typical New Forest stream. So I can see a huge pond skater down there on the water. But yeah, stony bottom. Water is the colour of tea because it's draining out the peat and the soil around here. And there'll be sticklebacks and minnows and possibly even brown trout. This is interesting. Look at all those little ripples on the water there. Are all pond skaters. Quite big ones actually. Let's see how close we can get. Yeah, there they are. Pond skaters. And these are, I believe, a member of the hemipterid bugs, and they're hunters. They will hunt on the surface of the water here. So if a fly falls in or anything like that, an insect falls into the water and gets into distress, they feel the ripples on the water and they will home in and devour it. Pond skaters. Big ones. I don't normally actually see pond skaters quite as large as this. Cheers. Oh, be quiet. So here's a very definite sign of spring. These flowers here are, I think, blackthorn. Prunus spinosa. Yeah, look at the spines on there. That's a blackthorn bush. Prunus spinosa, or otherwise known as sloes. And yeah, look, there's little bees there. All sorts of pollinating insects flying around, including some tiny little solitary bees. Don't know why these particular bushes are flowering so prolifically when the others aren't elsewhere. Perhaps it's just the microclimate. There's a lot of dead fallen wood here. Looks like an old oak tree there has met its end quite naturally and just fallen apart. Just fallen apart and rotted away, and it's actually quite good that this hasn't been gathered up and used for timber or firewood or whatever, because this is a fantastic resource for wildlife. There's fungi growing on here. There will be beetle larvae growing inside the wood, living inside the wood. Look, we can see some little holes there. And then there'll be woodpeckers and things feeding on the grubs. So it's a whole start of a kind of resource chain of wildlife food. So the forest wildlife really actually relies on some trees rotting in situ and not being cleared away as firewood or timber. So it's really nice actually to see, even though it looks a mess. This is nature doing its thing. I shall have to come back here in the autumn, I think, because this looks like a potentially productive spot for fungi. When you get a lot of dead wood lying around like this, it's a relatively unmanaged bit of woodland. I mean, obviously it's grazed by deer and the New Forest ponies and so on, but relatively unmanaged by humans by the look of it. So well, I shall have to come back here in the autumn and see what it's like for fungi. So this tree here, like a lot of the trees around here, is a crabapple tree, and so we can just see The leaf buds starting to open there, and possibly some flower buds forming. I think a bit further up there I can see a flower bud. Now, horses in the New Forest, they're not tame. They are not exactly wild. They're quite accustomed to humans. But yeah, you shouldn't try and pet them or anything like that. Yeah, hello. They're quite accustomed to being around humans, but you shouldn't really try and approach them any closer than I am now, really. And probably give them a wider berth than that, in all honesty. Don't try and feed them. Just kind of admire them from a distance, I suppose. This is my walking spoon. It's a walking stick in the shape of a spoon, which I carved a few years ago, and it served me really well, both as a walking stick and as an impromptu tripod. I can jam it into the ground and then just clamp a little camera mount to it, and it saves me carrying around a heavy tripod. However, the downside of doing that is the bottom of this stick has become a little bit weathered and worn. So today what I'm going to do is just polish this up and refinish it. Now, I don't really regard this wear and tear as a problem. I did make this to use, and nothing lasts forever, so it's not a surprise to me that it's taken a little bit of wear and tear. And if it wears out completely, I'll just make another one, maybe in a different shape, not a spoon next time. But a little bit of maintenance will keep this going a few years longer, I think. I have a feeling that point was a lot more pointy when it was new. I'll find the video footage and we'll have a look. But I think all I need to do, I don't even really need to take anything off here other than just a bit of dirt, and just rub that back to nice clean wood. And that's really as far as I'm going to take that. I'm not going to rub that back any further than that. There is a little bit of staining in the wood there from being soaked in mud. Not much I can do about that. If I sanded that back any further, I'd just be removing sound timber just for the sake of appearance. So I'm going to stop there, and we'll give that a little coat of Danish oil. First coat, I'm just going to work in to the wood as much as I can, really. And actually this oil may remove a little bit of staining as well, because it's got solvents and stuff in it. And we might as well have a little bit of oil on the steel there as well, just to keep the rust at bay. This is also the opportunity to touch up any little scuffs and scrapes that this thing has acquired over time. Good, okay, I'm going to let that dry. We'll do a few more coats as well, and then good as new, nearly. And it's not unheard of for drying oils like this to spontaneously combust when the rags are left to dry, because the oxidation process is exothermic and can actually build up heat to the point where your oilcloths just spontaneously catch fire. So I'm putting my cloths in an old tin can from a Fray Bentos pie. I'll probably actually burn them rather than put them in the bin. And there it is, not exactly good as new, but nice and shiny and protected again, and good for a few more years. Leftover duck fat from that can of confit duck that I opened. Root vegetables, which is carrot, parsnip, potato, sweet potato, cut into kind of chip size pieces. Just going to drain that. While that's still hot, a good chunk or two of that duck fat in there, and that will melt in the residual heat from those root vegetables. I'm going to give that a shake around just to distribute the fat. Now this is a mixture of rice flour, paprika, a bit of a crumbled stock cube and some mixed herbs. I'm just going to sprinkle a bit of that on there and give it a shake. Good, nicely coated. Into a roasting pan, and I'll just spread them around so they're not touching each other, and then into the oven to finish cooking those vegetables and until the outside is nice and crispy. 25 minutes later, crispy, savoury coated vegetable fries. Shut up. That's smaller, I think. That's the biggest one so far. Interesting fossil. A sponge or something. Do it again. No? You go. There's no door. I can't even see one that's been bricked up. Maybe here. Maybe that was the entrance there. I don't know. Yeah, I think it must have been. It must have been like a little crawl space that you went through to get into. There's no other holes in it. Right, it's obviously a defensive thing, or a lookout post or something. don't know what these little birds are I keep seeing in the bushes. They're not sparrows. I think they might be linnets or something. Interesting, bit of an old garden wall here. So presumably there used to be a house here. I've actually been here before and filmed here before. This is where I tested out the Ulefone Armour 2S. This particular spot. This way, Eva. Come on, doggo. It won't be very long until we have bluebells all over the place here, but it's a little bit early for them at the moment. Eva, be careful. No, come on, away from there. Yeah, another bit of a garden wall there. I would say there used to be a house on this cliff top, and it's now part of the beach probably. No, we're not going down there, we've been down there. Another one of those defensive structures there in what looks like slightly more original condition. Obviously in the private grounds of whatever that house is. So I presume that would have been some sort of defensive structure for guarding Southampton Water during World War II. Looks like maybe a kind of lookout post, maybe a gun emplacement on top. What's up with you? Okay, well we found a few seashells. Time to head for home now and see what we can make out of them. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again soon.